Michael J. Fox, it is an honour and a pleasure to welcome you to Sunrise. Good morning.
A pleasure to be with you. Thank you. Good morning to you.
I think that's possibly the best Zoom background I've seen.
You stole my joke. As I say, it's a Zoom background. You see my office, and my wife doesn't let me keep this stuff in that house, so I have to take it to my office.
Yeah, here in Australia we'd call that the pool room. Michael, your book, the title, No Time Like the Future, An Optimist Considers Mortality. What makes you such an optimist?
Well, I kind of found out from this experience that I read about in the book. I had always had an optimistic attitude. As I was somebody who kind of figured if I called heads and flipped the coin 100 times, 51 heads at least. And so I just always viewed myself that way. But then I had this series of incidents. I had my Parkinson's, which I've had for years and years. I reached a kind of peace with, and I could live with it. And then I then had spinal surgery, and a tumor in my spine, and had to learn to walk again. I learned to walk again, and I kept falling in my kitchen and breaking my arm quite badly. And as I sat on the floor in the kitchen waiting for the ambulance to come, I said, "What an idiot you are! How are you to tell people to look up when this kind of stuff and 10 times worse happens to them all the time?" And you know, I like went into it like, was I selling like commodifying hope? Was I like selling it as a panacea, optimism, positive, chin up? People were really suffering and marginalized. And I had to come to Jesus' moment.
Well, you are promoting hope in some ways. It's a remarkable story, and you say you tend to trust folks who make you laugh when things get really grim. How important is humour in your life, and what makes you laugh?
Well, actually, my wife is the key source of my life, and my kids. My wife is great because she knows me so well. She always says to me, "Your jokes are on a loop, and it's getting shorter." But she's very funny, and my son and my daughters are all funny. My family growing up, my father was funny. And I don't mean funny like Robin Williams, like funny to other people. I just mean funny. Just look at life in a way that says, "Well, better bag of coal."
You have 4 children, 3 born after your Parkinson's diagnosis. The book delves into that shift in responsibility, your children caring for you in many ways now. How hard is that as a parent to come to terms with?
It's just the case with me. It's just everybody wants to look after me, and it's tough. It's you don't want to push back against that, but it's tough to see people feel like they have to share your experience, and they can't share your experience. They can understand 98% of your experience, and they can help you and be with you, but they can't share it. It's all yours.
The wonderful thing about this book, though, is it does give an insight. It lets us share a little bit about that experience. You've raised close to $1 billion for Parkinson's research. You must have people reach out to you all the time, perhaps coming to terms with the new diagnosis themselves. What do you tell them?
With Parkinson's patients, I try to forget the question is acceptance. That's a really hard thing to comprehend. Accept this. Why should I accept it? Or surrender to it? Why should you surrender to it? Because then you know what it is, and you're calling it what it is, and you're accepting it as a fact in your life, and you move on. Because you accept something doesn't mean you don't endeavor to change it. You can find new ways to live your life. You can fill up the blanks that are left over from the person that takes up so much room, but there's other room for you to thrive in. And it's tough. It's hard. It's hard for people to what do they tell their bosses? What do they tell their families? What do they tell? And they know that if they're successfully hiding it now, it's just making the more guilty, and because eventually people are going to know. They're going to look at you and say, "You were perfect."
Of course, Back to the Future is a huge part of your legacy. What do you think it is about Marty McFly that resonates still with audiences today?
I just think Marty. Well, Marty and Doc are inseparable. And Chris is a dear friend of mine, and I love him to death. And he has a thing where like he lays out the exposition scene. He lays out what's going to happen. This will happen. This will happen. This will happen. And it's so amazing, and he's getting all this information, and I just have to react. And it was such an totally great experience to get wrapped up in what an actor is doing. Just feeling like you're there, and you're that guy. And I just tried with Marty McFly to am up to be every kid, to be every suburban American kid that rode skateboards and played guitars and wish they had a truck to take the girl up in the mountains with.
And one final question, Michael. The New York Times describes you as an unusually nice guy, even by high Canadian nice guy standards. How have you managed to maintain that all of these years?
My mom. My mom in Canada. She's me honest.
Keeps you honest and down to earth. Michael J. Fox, what an incredible life you have led and what an incredible life you continue to lead. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'll give you that Zoom back right now.
Yeah, I'm going to download that for me at home too. Thank you so much. And Michael J. Fox's book, No Time Like the Future, is out now. It's a great read. What a thrill to speak to him, guys.